Nice to have all of you. Thank you so much for being with us. Mbuso, let me begin with you. What challenges do business actually face when integrating sustainability into their digital strategies, and how can they overcome this?
So, Leanne, I think one of the biggest challenges businesses face is overlooking the inefficiencies in the existing processes, right? Technology is a fix, but business processes are the foundation of any business. So technology can amplify certain things, but it may not fix inefficiencies, right? So what many people do is they try and layer that technology onto broken processes, and then we end up with a situation where technology is now allowing those processes to fail much faster.
Yeah.
So at IME, we always start with our processes because we are building the tech. So we can't build the tech without the processes. So we had to streamline all of our in-house processes. And this is a continuous process. Every single time we're reviewing, we're going back, and we're trying to improve how we deploy this product, how we're building this product. And that has allowed us to be more sustainable. Another thing that, or another challenge that businesses face is resistance to change. Most businesses are still treating technology as a nice to have, and most of them are also treating it as a checkbox exercise instead of using it as a long-term strategy. And that's what I think we need to start looking at. I think we need to stop being intentional about what we do and not treat technology as a nice to have anymore. It's our reality now, and that's what we live with, and that's what we live around.
I didn't even know that companies still thought that way. It's a nice to have. In this day and age, it is not a nice to have. It is an essential. Like it is. I don't know how you do a business without it, and that's the reality. I mean, Talita, for you, let's talk about the role that digital transformation actually plays in driving long-term sustainable business models, and how companies can ensure that they have responsible innovation.
Yes, so definitely. So with the MiDesk specifically, so the MiDesk, for the people that don't know in the room, it's a wheelie school bag that converts into a desk and a chair for children in the rural areas.
Wow.
So it started as my science project when I was 16 years old, and we've since impacted over 5,000 children in Africa with it.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we work in many rural areas, and it's through technology that we remain connected to the world. Just on Monday, I was in northern KwaZulu-Natal at 3 deep rural schools, but I was able to have meetings with people from around the world through AI and through technology to be connected, MiDesk is global. We are able to obtain global sponsorships through the use of technology. And we've seen it. I must mention that with COVID, I've seen it personally that people are more comfortable with the idea of being more connected more connected online, whereas before people were a lot more uncomfortable with having these online conferences, with having online meetings, whereas now the world is a lot smaller than it was prior COVID. And now we are able to obtain sponsors from around the world. With Monday, for example, we gave three schools MiDesks, the entire grade 1 classes. And the sponsors were from Brussels and Canada, and we streamed it to these sponsors, and they felt like they were included, and it was all through technology that this was, and that they could feel involved and feel that they were part of this mission. So yeah, the world is a lot smaller, and with driving innovation and making with that, the main focus that we should all have is we should always put people and the planet first, and that should be our main focus always. And the way we can do that is by aligning ourselves, like we did with the MiDesk, with the Sustainable Development Goals. And we've done that by aligning ourselves with 6 of the SDGs. And we've done that by making the MiDesk made out of partly recycled material, with the entire unit itself being fully recyclable. And yeah, that's how we can move towards a more sustainable world. And the framework is there. And that's how we can build and grow and do good and be better.
That's fantastic. Well done. I mean, from 16 years old, you came up with this idea, and you're now helping all over. Which African countries are you in?
So far it's just South Africa and Namibia, but we are looking to expand. We have a goal that by 2030 we want to reach 1 million kits with the MiDesk.
Fantastic. Well, maybe you'll find some more partners in this room, because that's what these things are about. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. I want to see a photograph of this, because
I did speak to Talita earlier, and she's got one that she didn't bring in for some crazy reason, so she's promised to bring it just now, and we can actually take it. They're so cool.
Do you have it like here in the room?
I actually have it in my car at all times. So
okay, well, you've got to get somebody to go to your car and get it out. I don't know. Are you here with someone?
No, but I will go get it.
You go and get it, and then show us maybe after lunch, and we can just get an idea of what it looks like. I would love to see that. So, okay, Kevin, you're as intrigued as I am. And I mean, I think that this is a nice lead into kind of the question I want to come to you with, is that it just shows you that if businesses are out there and they can align with things like this, it does good. But there are also companies that need to align with things like AI, blockchain, big data, IoT, all of these things. They impact sustainability and social initiatives. How? Talk to us.
So I think one of the things I had to learn the hard way as a technologist, I build a lot of platforms and products and have for a while. You can't actually solve real world problems directly with technology. You have to first deeply understand the problem and how to solve the problem, and then pull the technology into it. And so I've become very nervous to run around with a blockchain hammer looking for things to hit on. And I work for an organization called Sand Technologies, and we've built that sort of thinking into our organization. We have small cross-functional teams that have line of sight to a real-world problem that they can solve. And they are data scientists, they're data engineers, they're software engineers. It's subject matter experts all working together. But until they've really understood the problem, we don't start pulling the technology in. And then when we do understand it, we can use the technology appropriately in the right places. And the power of what's possible in the cloud, and with data engineering and data science and AI and agentic systems that are coming to life now, it's incredible what you can do. But if you don't start with understanding the problem, and what's important there is understanding the incentives and the constraints as well. And we talked about capitalism, that's a big incentive. And if you don't understand that incentive, and you don't understand the constraints that are currently there and how they can be moved, you're not going to bring technology in the right way. And so we've, quite a few years actually as an organization, we're fully distributed. We started in South Africa and now hiring across Africa. But we've built industrial AIs for Thames Water doing burst and leak detection. We built technologies in telco. We're involved in Rwanda rolling out rural healthcare clinics. That's got drone deliveries with a separate partner that does that. But I think a lot of the impact we've been able to have is because we start with the problem and work backwards from that. And so that's fundamentally the approach that I would recommend.
Yeah, which is so important, because I want to bring it into more like practical looking things. I mean, when we look at something that's happening in Kenya, when you've got the Internet of Things, it's all over the place, and M-Pesa is so impressive. It really is. And these are the kind of things that can change people's lives. If you have the access to things like this, you can start a business. You can access the Internet of Things. You can bring awareness to wherever you're staying. So let me, I suppose, come into this. Can different models of things like we see, I mean, I talk M-Pesa, I talk about M-Kopa, I'm using Kenya as an example, but can these be replicated and used in places like South Africa, like, within the deepest places that are far from the urban centers?
Yeah, I personally think they can. I think, but at first we need to understand what sort of problem we're trying to solve. I think technology is always trying to solve a problem. And we can't just take anything that's been applied just anywhere and just, throw it in there. I think we need to understand what it is that we're trying to solve, and then we'll have a better chance at implementing technologies like the ones that you've mentioned. I think one thing that also happens in South Africa is that technology companies are not given an opportunity to explore some of the areas. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I think it is, again, what problem are we trying to solve? Because that's what technology does.
Yeah, it does, and it focuses in on something. And I'm loving these days the idea that you've got your informal traders that are linked, and they have their own device, that you don't need cash, that we are a cashless country. That's the way we're going. And we don't, we're a cashless world, in fact. I mean, you just pay on the spot, tap your card and move on. And you can do that. And surely these are the kind of things that revolutionize businesses. I mean, it's a simple example, but as you say, specifics
yes.
in technology.
Yes.
Do you want to add on to that? Because I think it's an important aspect.
I think things like blockchain change the constraints, right? You can do micropayments, you can put coded contracts on how payments are made. You can build systems that don't rely on a trusted third party, so it shifts the constraints a lot. Where we like to start is with the data. So a lot of organizations treat the data as if it's exhaust, when it actually should be more the fuel of the organization, and it's not an IT technology problem. But if you can gather as much data as available and start to create, we call it a digital twin, a descriptive twin of what's actually going on based on what the data is saying. That's already a very powerful thing to be able to have, because now you have visibility. And you can use that visibility to start making better decisions. In the UK, the regulator forces the water companies to publish some of their data openly on where there's pollutions and leaks, so that citizens can be more actively involved in making sure that they do better. And so by starting out with that descriptive twin and bringing all the data together, you can already start to improve things. And then beyond that, you can get into agentic models where you can actually apply machine intelligence to making better decisions, to identifying problems sooner. There's a whole world of things that you can do beyond that once you're managing the data well.
Yeah. Talita, let's come to you, because you're obviously very hands-on the ground. You're there, you're seeing what's going on and the needs in these areas that specifically are desperate for this kind of innovation and this kind of investment into doing good and enhancing their lives. Perhaps you can talk to us from on the ground, things you see and experience.
Yes, definitely. Well, I am on the ground on a weekly basis. And from what I see is that there's still a very large gap between what the skills required that these children and the teachers from need to utilize technology, but the intelligence is there. For example, on Monday, when I was at these schools, a child had written a poem about the MiDesk. She was a 15-year-old child, and her name was Ayanda Dlamini. And she had no prior information about anything, and she had researched the MiDesk. And there are things out there like ChatGPT these days to make poems for us these days and be creative on our behalf. And normally, that's what we would turn to, all of us in the room, to quickly write us poems or write our speeches or, do those tasks for us. And they don't have those tools. They don't know of those tools. And so I was so impressed by the fact that she had taken the time to research what the MiDesk was about. And she had actually encapsulated what it was about and put in rhymes and told the story of the MiDesk and explained it even better than I could have.
Yeah.
In a 2-minute poem. And it was so wonderful to see the intelligence. So the skills are there, the intelligence is there. The gap needs to be met.
Yes.
But it is very far from being met.
this is what worries me is that, and I think it's a beautiful story. It's an important story. However, having said that, and I don't know, Mbuso or Kevin, whoever wants to chip in, please do. But my worry is that when we start seeing these technological innovations, and they're moving so fast, they are. I mean, it's exponential. For me, I almost feel that we've may very much so exacerbate inequality. Because if you don't have access to that, you are left so far behind. How do you ever catch up? And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you as well. Mbuso, I don't know if you want to talk about that as well.
So I think it's important for organizations to have, these CSI projects that are trying to help us connect this. As much as we're a technology company, we've recently donated laptops to a school of the deaf, right, where they're deaf, the children are deaf, but they can use our video technology for some of their lessons. They do speak sign language, but they can use technology for that. So I think organizations have a role to play in also helping to bridge this gap. As much as we might want to blame the government or we blame all these other things, I think we also all have a role to play, and I think we need to partake in society and see how we can help bridge these inequalities, because some people don't have the resources. As much as we want to grow the technical space and want everyone to have access to these nice digital systems, the reality is that some people don't have data, they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have access to the internet. So I think we need to work on that.
Yeah. I mean, we keep talking about the global population and how big it is, but I mean, the reality is that the majority of people that do not have access to anything we're talking about here are found within our continent. They live not far away from us, within our continent and South Asia as well. And we talk billions of people here that do not have the access to anything that we have in front of us right now and the things that we're talking about. Kevin, perhaps you want to weigh in on this as well?
Well, I think nobody really knows where we're going to get with AI, but we know it's moving really fast, and the power of things just seems to ramp up almost week-on-week basis at the moment. So what we are going to see over the next year or two is a sudden jump in the power of things we can do, because a lot of IT in the past has been really just about automation, right? Being able to take something that's done and automate it. And we're getting better at virtualizing that and scaling it, but it's fundamentally automation. What is coming is ambient intelligence on demand. You can actually have machines that can take a look at what's going on and make decisions. And so there's a massive jump in the power and capabilities, and at the same time, a massive reduction in the cost of doing those things. There's tools now like Replit where you can just describe the application you want and it can build it, and it's a few dollars for an account. It's not expensive. So I think with that increase in power, I don't think power is either good or bad, it's how we use it. And so there are plenty of very good ways to use it. Half of our organization is a training organization, the other is doing enterprise, commercial, capitalist stuff. But a lot of the training can now be done using AI. Every kid can have a personal teacher that understands where they're at and gives them a feedback loop. You can teach yourself skills by just setting up an agent and having a conversation where you've fine-tuned it in a particular way. And so there is a huge amount of things we can do in reducing the cost of education and increasing the accessibility of these things. But it's kind of up to us to decide how we use the power. It's coming, and we're not going to be able to stop it.
It's true, and the skills, because this is another thing that we need to talk to, is that this is a very young continent. It is an emerging continent with young, energetic people that have nothing to do. And that worries me when we have such a big unemployment rate and such a skills deficit. And the faster we move, the less we find that we have the skills to fill these gaps. But we can fill them. We can, with things that you're talking about right now. I mean, these are actual things that can be sorted out and very, very quickly. We just need the world to be able to do this. So perhaps maybe we can talk about that. How do we harness this into our favor? The young, uneducated, educate them, get them working, and give them the right skills. How do we go about doing that? Anyone? Kevin?
Well,
I can see you.
So leading into what you're doing, so we started a coding school for resource poor kids at a high school level, and we ran it for about a couple of years. And we had a student that failed maths at school because they got so excited about the programming. And we learned a couple of really valuable lessons there. And one of them is you can teach Python as a language to a high school student. But if they haven't had the very early stage built a love for reading, had access to books, been taught to think critically, sort of skills that get really taught at a formative age, then it's very hard by the time a kid gets to high school. And what we're seeing is we're now hiring across Africa. We're fully remote. If you can get a Starlink and a laptop, you can work for us. The barrier to entry is really, really low, and we're hiring all over the place. But I think it's work like you're doing that's really getting into that grassroots and lowering the barrier to entry at a nursery school, primary level that's really going to have the bigger impact. Yeah. Are you seeing that happening with where you're providing your
Definitely.
desks?
So what we're doing is we are providing these desks to the grade 1s, 2s, and 3s at the moment. And so the MiDesk has a 12-year lifespan. So the point of it is that a child can use it both at home and at school. So they can use it at home as a homework station. The research, according to UNESCO, is that a child improves their academic performance by 48% when they have a designated homework space. Mm-hmm. The research in South Africa alone, there are, according to UNESCO, there are 3 million children without desks at school. In Africa, there are 95 million children without desks at school, and around the globe, there are over 400 million children without desks at school. By them not having a desk, their handwriting is affected, their focus, their concentration, their homework delivery, and their overall academic ability is affected. Mm. So it is a basic resource, such as a desk to write on and a chair to sit on. And the MiDesk also comes with a solar light, so that they can do their homework at night, because many of these children do not have access to electricity at home, so that they can see their homework at night. Mm. So it's a basic resource, such as having a desk to write on, that allows that sort of closes that gap a little bit and fixes their handwriting, and also encourages them to do their homework, to stay in school. And so what we've done is we've also set up a foundation. So with the hopes and the goal of we are reaching these kids in the deep rural communities, in the townships, but by the time they reach matric, the goal of MiDesk Global is that by the time they reach matric, we hope to afford these children bursaries to go study. Because the research is that if one person from a household goes and gets a job, it changes the life of 7 community members.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is that we don't just want to give these kids desks and then leave them, We want to actually pull them out of their poverty-stricken situations and carry them through. And I have personally seen the difference. My mom started studying in her 40s. She started her degree in her 40s. And I have seen it with my family members. She forced my brother and I to study. She forced my cousins to study. And there was no two ways about it that we will get our degrees and we will be pushed. And we have firsthand seen the difference that has made to our own household.
Yeah.
And imagine what that could do for a child in a deep rural community. I go to these communities and I often ask the children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a taxi driver, or I want to be a fire truck. Not even a fireman or a firewoman, I want to be a fire truck.
Wow.
And, if you're not even daring to dream, that is the first step. So where are you going with your future? So that is what we are trying to get these children to dare to dream and know that they have a future. We want doctors, we want teachers, we want educators, we want astronauts. That's what we want out of Africa. Mm. And it starts at grassroots level. We want AI engineers, and by taking these companies and these sponsors to these deep rural communities, they get to have the conversations with the children and actually encourage them. And these children get exposed to a lot more and get to dream a bit further.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with this movement.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, it really is so important, because as you say, without dreams, and you can't dream if you don't actually know what's out there.
Exactly.
You can't see it, and you can't feel it. How are you going to dream of it? And that's the reality. Mbuso, from your side, I mean, this is the industry that you're in, and this is what you guys focus on a daily basis. Is technology? It's where we're going. It's where the world is at, and it's only going to get more and more intense as we go along, and that's the reality. But if we look at the emerging key trends that are coming out at the moment, in terms of those things that are going to play a crucial role in shaping a sustainable and inclusive digital future, what are you looking at? What are you seeing?
So I think AI, big data, blockchain, and video technology is going to change it's going to keep growing. It's going to keep evolving. I mean, it's part of some of the discussions we've been having here. I mean, one example I'd like to focus on is how AI coupled with big data has reduced carbon footprints and how it's able to help organizations make better decisions, right? So, for example, Google used their DeepMind's AI not so long ago to optimize the cooling in their data centers. And basically, by just giving DeepMind's AI access to their historical data, it was able to reduce their energy consumption by 40%, right? And that improved their overall efficiency by 15%. I mean, that reduced emissions, and that's what sustainability is about when we're looking at the power of technology coupled with sustainability, when you're building it into your processes, when you're allowing yourself to evolve in this new space where technology is growing. I think AI technology, blockchain, big data are going to play a big part in the future going forward. And then in terms of video, we use video very heavily at IME, and video has also evolved. And nowadays you can tell how someone feels from just the video, just by allowing AI to analyze that. I think that's game changing. You can tell if someone's lying in a video. So I think we need to harness technology for good. I mean, the things I've mentioned can be used for bad, but I think we need to harness it for good. And I think we need to stay in there. Technology is growing. Let's not let the bus leave us. Let's keep going.
Yeah. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing where we're going with all of it. But it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. So it is interesting. I mean, you speak about Africa and we are mineral rich. You know, these are the things that we can help. And I mean, everything you're saying also lessens our carbon footprint. It lessens all of that and leads to sustainability. So, Kevin, let me come to you to start sort of winding this all together and wrapping it up for us, because, I mean, the actual topic that we're looking at is using technology for good, using this whole innovation that we're talking about, but to help others. Perhaps you want to give us some closing thoughts.
So we're talking about it being powerful and good and bad, and just as a joke, but a demonstration. And with apologies to the people who were on the panel earlier, I took a photo and then just quickly, using prompts, no special skills, changed the whole panel to old white dudes that look like me. You could do that. It's easy. I mean, it's funny, but the message there is these tools are getting very powerful, and you're able to start creating alternate things in ways that you couldn't do before. So I think the big lever here is starting to think of data as a strategic asset and making sure that you're thinking about how you can, particularly in the lens of sustainability, use data to shift the incentives and the constraints to a different place to allow sustainability to kind of emerge. And I think there's a huge opportunity with the new tools and technologies to be able to do that. And it's extremely necessary because they're also going to allow people to do the other side of that equation.
Yeah, very much so. Talita, on your side?
I think if it can't be reduced, reused, recycled, resold, composted, then it should be redesigned or removed from the future.
Love it. There you go. Simple and sweet. And you promise us you're going to go and get that from the car. We need to see this. We need to see this desk of yours.
Yes.
And finally, Mbuso, your closing statement.
I would say there's this famous saying now that says, if many people are scared that AI is going to replace people, but the reality is that the people who use AI are going to replace the people that don't want to use it. So we need to harness technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. We absolutely do. And that goes without saying. I mean, I sat through my son's public speaking just a week ago, and the whole thing was about using technology and AI. Is it a bot versus a brain? And that was the conversation. But the reality is that the bot wouldn't be there without the brain. And if we don't work together and use it for the benefit of ourselves, there's no point. There's no point. And that, I think, is a good note to end it on. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of you, and thank you to IME for sponsoring this segment as well. Well done, guys. Thank you very, very much.